So, hi, Ellie from Kiwi Publishing, and today I'm meeting with Emilie Davis from Magic Mirror Marketing. It's nice to meet you, and I'm excited to get to talk to you about some things.
That's great to meet you too.
Yeah, so could you tell me a little bit about like what you do and also kind of what Magic Mirror Marketing is?
Yes, so I am a marketing consultant and website designer. And at Magic Mirror Marketing, our goal is to reflect your magic so you can make your mark. We work primarily with personal brands, so that would be coaches, consultants, authors, and speakers. And our joke is that, when you are a personal brand and you're
Mhm.
doing marketing, you're literally selling yourself. And that's a
Mhm.
very
Yeah,
vulnerable place for people to be.
yeah,
And
definitely.
so we want to help people understand that what makes them unique, all the little quirks and fun pieces and facets of who they are, that actually makes for much more powerful marketing than when you
Mhm.
try to present some perfect version of yourself. And
Mhm.
so we love creating websites that really reflect your unique magic. We try
Mhm.
to make them very individualized, so it's not just a template you grab off the internet, but it is something that reflects who you are, what you value, and
Mhm.
how you want to show up in the world. So that's what we love to do.
Yeah, awesome. And is that kind of how you came up with the name for the company?
Yeah, so my original name of my company was Link House Consultants. I
Mhm.
formed my LLC in 2016. I was
Mhm.
in my office in my house on Link Road.
Mhm.
And I turned to my husband, I'm like, I have to have a name. And
Yeah.
I could not settle on one, but I was so excited to start my own business and like
Mhm.
all this excitement and momentum going. And so the name was what was holding me back. And he was
Yeah.
suggested, what about Link House? I was like,
Mhm.
okay, that sounds great. So I used that name up until 2024, actually. So
Mhm.
just last year,
Oh, wow. Awesome.
I had an epiphany where I
Yeah.
realized what I really love doing is reflecting back at my clients what makes them amazing because
Oh, I love that.
they'll talk to me and like when
Mhm.
we're doing marketing messaging, my style is usually to do an interview like over Zoom where
Mhm.
I'll ask them a bunch of questions and they tell me about their customers, about what it is that they do,
Mhm.
why they love doing what they do, what they're passionate about. And when I go to write messaging, I'll write it out. And when I present it to them, it's typically like website copy is
Yeah.
what I
Mhm.
do. Their favorite line is always something that they said.
Yeah, I love
So like
that.
we go through and I'll be like, and they'll read a headline and be like, oh, I love that. I'm like,
Mhm.
it
Yeah,
was not
it's
me.
yours. Yeah.
You said it. And
Mhm.
so that makes a huge difference. And so I had this epiphany when I went to a business uh, retreat for myself where I was
Mhm.
telling my husband about like I called him up and I said, I just wish sometimes that I had a magic mirror that I could speak into so I could reflect back at myself the things like I
Mhm.
tell my clients and things I do.
Yeah.
And that idea really stuck with me. That was like, yeah, we all need a magic mirror that we can just look into
Mhm.
and be like, okay, show me who I really am. What am I really doing here?
Yeah.
And give me all the answers. Uh,
Yeah.
I
I
don't I don't think I have all the answers, but I do think that we have the answers within ourselves.
Yeah, oh, I really like that. That's a great name, I think, and really cool that, like you said, you're able to like help people see that what they have kind of within them, how they can use that. So I think that's awesome. Yeah. And are there any, I guess, specific, as far as working with authors, like challenges or um, things that you help authors more often with than not as you work with them?
Yeah, so authors, one of the unique things about them is that it's usually about more than a book.
Hmm.
Especially nonfiction, I
Hmm.
find
Yeah.
there's a lot of heart and soul that goes into that book, like a reason why are you publishing it, why now, what's
Hmm.
happening. And so when it comes to marketing, again, it's very vulnerable, and people don't always want to tell that story, but they're
Yeah.
not sure what story to tell when they're trying
Yeah.
to market.
Mhm.
They're not sure how aggressively they should go out and do it. They're not sure. Whenever I make a website, one of the first questions I ask people is, what action do you want people to take when they land
Mhm.
on your site?
Yeah.
And for authors, it can be easy to say, I want them to buy the book. But that's
Mhm.
usually not the only action they actually want people to take. They want something else to happen
Mhm.
outside of that because a lot of authors are also coaches, consultants, speakers.
Mhm.
They have something else that the book is a part of as opposed to
Mhm.
just being publishing this book.
Yeah.
And so, really thinking through what do I want the end result of the person buying this book to be? Do I want them to become a coaching client? Do I want them to hire me for consulting services? Do I
Mhm.
want to give speeches, or do I want my speeches to lead to people buying the books in bulk? Because you
Mhm.
actually have a place on your website for bulk orders.
Yeah.
Like thinking through how you
Mhm.
actually want things to play out, because we actually have more control than we think especially when it
Mhm.
comes to website design
Yeah.
around what people do. Because if you
Mhm.
tell people what you want them to do, they're more likely to do it.
Yeah.
And sometimes they just want to leave it open ended, like, I just want them to buy the book. And
Yeah.
like, well, they can go on Amazon and buy the book.
Yeah.
If you're having your own website, what is it specifically that you want
Mhm.
to hear now? What you have to understand? Educating is not an action. Educating
Mhm.
is just like something that happens as a byproduct of people taking an action. So,
Okay. Yeah.
um, so yeah, does that answer your original question? I'm trying to
Yeah, I
remember.
think so. Yeah. Yeah, I was asking, I guess, just like different challenges, which I think you described well. And I think especially with authors, like the marketing element can be so kind of intimidating for a lot of people. And so I think it's helpful to, like you said, have that and be like, what actions do you want the, reader person coming on your website to take? And I think that's cool that, like you said, it's not like you have more power to suggest what I guess the consumer, the person on the website will do it than you think maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, well, and also people write books for different reasons.
Yeah.
So some people write books, as I said, to be a lead generator. Like if you read this
Hmm.
book, then you'll hire me to do something else.
Yeah.
Some people write books because it has to come out. Whatever is
Hmm.
in them, they need to share it, and they just want to spread the word to as many people as possible.
Hmm.
In some ways, that's the harder one because
Yeah.
the altruistic desire of like, I just want everyone to understand this message.
Hmm.
And that's when people feel icky doing marketing. They're like, well,
Yeah.
I want people to read it and love it. I don't want to sell it. And they make it
Hmm.
like selling is a bad word. But I always say it's mostly about being a resource and a tool for people you want to help. Like
Yeah.
you don't want to stand in the way of people getting what they need.
Hmm.
If you are able to kind of take yourself out for a moment, that again, that vulnerability of feeling like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm selling myself. And it's like, no, you're selling something that people need, that's
Hmm.
going to make their lives better, that's going to enrich their lives in some way. Um, and it is okay to market in ways that don't feel icky.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some personalities do really well with in-person marketing and
Hmm.
like network marketing and things like that,
Hmm.
speaking at events or doing workshops. And sometimes people act like those aren't legitimate because they're not Facebook or something,
Oh.
because social media has been ruling the marketing world for like
Yeah.
years. Some
Yeah.
people feel like, oh, I get most of my sales just by word of mouth. And I'm like, that is a phenomenal way to market.
Hmm.
If you are getting such good buzz that you're getting routine business or routine sales,
Hmm.
that's a pro. That's a really
Yeah.
good thing that you have going. And if you can find ways to harness that and amplify it, then
Hmm.
your marketing's going to work a lot better.
Yeah.
But if you're a person that's like, people freak me out and they drain me of
Yeah.
energy, then that's when things like social media can be great, that you can
Hmm.
into digital tools that make it so you can reach a large audience, uh,
Hmm.
especially writers, because you have the ability to write what is in your heart and you can connect with people. I will say that the world of marketing is changing. We are in a
Hmm.
transition period right now, just like when
Hmm.
social media first came on the scene. We're seeing a big shift, so I don't have any huge predictions yet
Yeah. Yeah.
where we're going to land. But something I do believe is that people seek connection,
Hmm.
and humans are unique in their ability to connect.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
so, I love AI tools. I think they are
Yeah.
so much
Yeah.
fun, but it
Hmm.
doesn't mean that we stop writing.
Hmm. Yeah.
I do use like ChatGPT to help me write things sometimes, but it's a
Yeah.
collaborative process. It's not
Mhm.
the first draft it says and go.
Yeah.
It's still a process of creation,
Mhm.
and it will only iterate. It doesn't innovate. It's just going to
Yeah.
find what has worked for other people, and it will mimic that when it's working with me, or it mimics my style because that's what I told it to
Yeah.
do.
Mhm.
And so I do see some potential in the future of, we still get to create, we still get to decide what the next fads are going to be, what the
Yeah.
trends and styles, and what kind of books are people are going to want to read and all of that. That's
Mhm.
still yet to be decided. So it's still a very exciting time for creation. Uh,
Mhm.
and we just need to have fun with marketing when we
Yeah.
can.
Yeah, definitely.
All
No,
of the fun is something I
yeah,
do a lot.
yeah, I love that. I think, yeah, that's a good, like, way to frame it, and I know with AI, like, there's a lot of people have a lot of different, like, thoughts around that and, like, how it should be used, or if it should be used at all, and I think that, like you said, if it can be used as a tool instead of I don't think, like yeah, I don't think most readers would wanna read a book written, entirely by AI or one of things like that, so but if
Brain
you can use it yeah, no, it's like a tool to help you in, like, in your marketing or in, different things that can be,
yeah.
um helpful. And I know you're coming out soon, or maybe you've started, I think at this point, an AI workshop. I
Yes.
think you wanted to, yeah, like share a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I have a workshop called You and AI,
Mhm.
and it's about how to turbocharge your marketing using AI tools. And so each week, Thursday at noon Eastern, I offer a different workshop where we use the AI tools, and I show you how to do things such as how can you write blog posts,
Mhm.
how can you create a marketing plan.
Yeah.
Last week we talked about how do you refine a message, like how do you even
Mhm.
figure out what's my mission statement, what's my value
Mhm.
statement, like
Yeah.
the things that we read in marketing books, like oh you need to develop this.
Mhm.
And what AI allows us to do is just shorten the time to completion because
Mhm.
it's an amazing brainstorming tool. It's an amazing clarity tool to help you
Mhm.
kind of like weigh different decisions.
Mhm.
And I joke that it is a magic mirror for me, that this
Yeah.
tool,
So that yeah.
I am able to sit down with myself essentially and
Mhm. Yeah.
have debates with myself about what I want to do in marketing. I can um, some of my core principles when it comes to AI is that there's three levels of use. The
Mhm.
first level is using it as an intern, which is doing
Mhm.
tasks and projects you just don't want to do that you normally give to an intern. So like research or compiling a list or
Mhm.
brainstorming things or check this for errors or summarize this document, like
Yeah.
just very, very low level tasks that are very simple for it to do because that's the type of tasks it excels at.
Mhm.
The second level is as a consultant, where you
Mhm.
ask it for best practices. Like, okay, so if I wanted to improve this web page, what would you recommend that I do to make it appeal to women between the ages of 30 and 50 who
Mhm.
live in an urban environment? So like
Yeah.
you could ask these things,
Yeah.
and then it will give you opinions, and you can take them or
Mhm.
leave them, and then you can kind of go back and forth with it about like additional
Mhm.
questions and follow up and have it
Yeah.
explain things and ask it questions like what is search engine optimization,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
is it still a good investment in 2025?
Mhm.
Like you can treat it like an actual expert out in the field because it has access
Yeah.
to all information, and
Everything, yeah.
there's been millions of articles written and videos made
Yeah.
and all kinds of things from people about these topics. And so it shortens the time. You don't have to go on Google and sort through yourself. It's doing a
Mhm.
lot of that sorting for you.
Yeah.
But the highest and what I consider to be the best level is collaborative.
Mhm.
Collaborative. And that's like when I was talking about creation,
Yeah.
you can still create amazing things. It really is like a power tool that,
Mhm.
when you go to make a shed outside or something, you
Mhm.
can use a hammer and nails, but if you can use a like a power drill,
Yeah,
screw it in,
understand.
you're just going to build it so much faster.
Mhm.
And it gives you the freedom to try new things. And so when I work with a tool like ChatGPT, I
Mhm.
really I try to present information to it like it's a person that I'm collaborating with.
Mhm.
This is what
Yeah.
I'm trying to do. This is what I'm concerned about. This is the direction I want to go. What are some things we need to watch out for? And then it'll give me feedback. And I push back. I don't take what it says as 100% like this is the
Yeah.
because I know it is sourcing its information from
Mhm.
general information. Uh,
Mhm.
but as a human, I have intuition.
Yeah.
I have a sense that like I've worked in marketing for 15 years. I've studied
Yeah.
human behavior and I've seen this. And so I push back and we work together and wrestle with text or with plans and strategies.
Mhm.
And that's really what my marketing workshop is about, is showing people how it's like having this very enthusiastic, eager assistant
Mhm.
who has no ego and
Yeah.
doesn't if you change your mind mid-project and decide we're doing something completely different.
Yeah.
And so it's you know, I am a Star Trek fan. I grew
Mhm.
up on Star Trek: The Next Generation, so I have a very optimistic look at
Yeah.
how, or optimistic view on
Mhm.
how AI can help us. I believe it will help us explore the stars, like
Mhm.
that we have all this ability to go on and see great things.
Yeah.
I don't tend to get into the doom and gloom of like Terminator and how it's all going to kill us.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Take
but
over
there are
everything,
plenty of
yeah.
people who do like to focus on that. But
Yeah.
especially in marketing, there's
Mhm.
so many avenues for exploration, for creativity. and for making something beautiful. You can
Mm,
go to a dollar store and you can buy a vase and it will hold flour, it will hold water, and it will
mm,
look fine sitting on your shelf. Or you can go to an artisanal fair and find a craftsperson who has made the most gorgeous vase you've ever seen. And it doesn't even need a flower. It can just
yeah,
sit on the shelf and be beautiful. And so
yeah,
that's how I feel about, people who have skills like in writing, we
mm,
still need the craft, the
mm,
master craftsmen
yeah,
who figure out how to make really, truly gorgeous things. But sometimes you just need a vase that's going to hold a flower. And so
yeah.
AI can help us get that going pretty fast.
Yeah, no, I think that's a cool view of it, and that, like you said, it's not, and I think that's also I do hear like from different people about like the more optimistic side versus pessimistic side, and I think that's a good way to view it as, like you said, a tool where it's you can use it, but you don't have to hopefully, worry as much about there's still going to be a need for artists and people doing the craft. Like that's I would hope never going to like cease to be a thing. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's awesome that it can be a tool in that way and help with marketing. Do you ever get like I guess we hear some people that are kind of concerned about like the ethics of like AI and stuff. I don't know if that's something you've kind of um, heard from any people who are like interested in using it, or like how do you kind of respond to that or think about that? I guess if that makes sense.
Um, I mean, ethics, I think we need to be more concerned about the people making AI and
Yeah.
ethics more than the device itself has no
So
more.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
going to follow your moral code, whatever it is
Yeah.
that you're deciding.
Yeah.
And that's why if you tell it you want to do something, it's like, great. If you tell it you don't want to do something, it's like, great. It doesn't really
Yeah.
care.
Mhm.
It'll always enthusiastically support you to the gates of hell. Like
It's gonna do what you tell it. Yeah.
it's going to do what you want to do.
Mhm.
Um, Ethics are a concern
Mhm.
in my sphere where
Mhm. Yeah.
it's not the fight that I'm interested in or that
Yeah.
I'm pushing for because again
Yeah.
in marketing it's more about collaboration, the creation,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
pulling it together. Am I concerned about AI stealing people's information and stuff? Yes.
Yeah.
Like and not stealing information like it knows where I live because I'm kind
Yeah.
of used to that. I'm like
Yeah.
Alexa knows everything about me.
It's
My
gonna
phone
happen. Yeah.
all the time. But especially when it comes to authors, am I
Mhm.
concerned about people stealing IP or treating it
Mhm.
like it's general information when it's actually someone's exact phrasing?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's something to be concerned about, which is why the collaboration again is key, where it's
Yeah.
don't take anything at just face value of like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
this is perfect. Now I'm going to publish it. It's like, okay, anytime I have it pull a quote, I
Yeah.
always double check it to be like,
Yeah. No,
real.
that's smart.
I asked it once to if there was any quotes by Jane Austen about gratitude,
Mhm.
because I have a hobby podcast called the Pride and Prejudice Book Club where we just read
Oh, that's great.
variations of Pride and Prejudice.
Yeah. I
So
love it.
fun. It's amazing. But I wanted to do a post on social media for
Mhm.
Thanksgiving. And so it's just like, did Jane Austen write anything about
Yeah.
gratitude? And it spit out a quote. And as an avid reader of Jane Austen and people who copy Jane Austen, I read it. I was like, that is not Jane
It's
Austen.
not it. Yeah.
There's no way. And so I asked it again. I said, like, is this really by Jane Austen?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I'm so sorry. It appears that is not a quote by Jane.
Never mind. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's searching the internet and
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
internet has fake quotes on it. And so
Mhm.
um, that's always something to be watchful for.
Yeah.
Uh, Anytime it gives you brainstorming ideas for titles of things, I
Mhm.
always go and double check to be like, does somebody already have this as
Yeah.
claimed? Because it might have gotten a brilliant idea from somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, Now, as artists, we frequently do borrow and
Mhm.
build on the works of others. That is
Yeah.
part of the creative process.
Mhm.
But the ethics of it is, yes, the internal compass and like best practices of what are we doing
Mhm.
with information, what kind of credit are we giving. I
Mhm.
think the general rules of civility still exist. That it's
Yeah.
like if you find the source, like and tools like chat are getting better about
Yeah.
giving
Sourcing.
sources.
Mhm.
So all that still exists that we need to respect each other.
Yeah.
Again, it's not the fight I'm fighting; it's more the
No,
awareness
yeah.
I have of like, okay, we're
Mhm.
using this. Let's be good people and make good decisions.
Yeah.
That we used to do.
Yeah, no,
Like
that's basic, yeah, decency, and I think that's, yeah, definitely important. Are there certain, I know you've mentioned like ChatGPT, are there other um, common tools that you kind of recommend people use or that you often use in marketing?
so a lot of them are developing. So
Mhm.
by the time you publish anything that I'm saying, it's probably all
Yeah.
going to be different. So like DeepSeek is from China, and that just made a big splash recently. I've not played very
Yeah.
much with that one, but there may be complications with that one. Anyways, Grok
Mhm.
is another one for writing. I think it's
Mhm.
okay. It's kind of weird. Midjourney is much better at doing visuals, like doing pictures,
Mhm.
than a lot of the other services that I've looked at.
Mhm.
Um, but it's one of those things where there's so many options and new ones being
Yeah.
developed all the time. It's understanding like what are the gaps that I need help with,
Mhm.
and then once you settle in, as with any tool, you get really good with it.
Mhm.
Going back to the construction uh,
Yeah.
kind of comparison,
Mhm.
you know, a construction worker can use a drill and a
Yeah.
saw, like a rotary saw, like very, very quickly, whereas
Mhm.
I, as a at-home DIY person,
Yeah.
I'm going to be very slow and it's going to be hard and may not look great and all that kind of stuff. And so you
Yeah.
still have that struggle, but when you use a tool regularly, you get much better.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I don't hop around a lot
Mhm.
because like there are some who like to try doing the same project in multiple platforms to see which
Mhm.
one feels more like them, and I think that's great. For
Mhm.
me, because I love talking, like the
Yeah.
language model is what is how I operate and how I think. I can be incredibly conversational with ChatGPT,
Yeah.
and it's really powerful. But I
Mhm.
keep my ear to the ground and I'm always listening to be like, okay,
Yeah.
has anybody found one that's like, oh, this is much better than ChatGPT?
Mhm.
So I'm not opposed to trying new ones.
Yeah.
Don't have a super allegiance to it, like
Yeah.
become jerks or something, I'll stop using
Yeah.
them. Um, but it's just something that we keep evolving. Like I use another one called video.ai. I
Yeah.
think they recently changed their name to something else that got bought by
Mhm.
another company. And that's the other thing too, is they merge
I
and
know they change all the time.
and that one helps with using AI to edit videos. Like it'll
Mhm.
identify clips, but I still have to go in and like adjust it because
Yeah.
it may start or edit in the wrong spot and things like
Mhm.
that. I use a Fathom note taker.
Yeah.
That's an AI system. It gives me AI notes at the end that summarizes what we talked about, what the action items were. It makes it really easy for me before my next meeting with the client to go back and be like, did we do what we needed to do? What are we
Yeah.
here? I can use the transcripts from videos in my creation of text
Mhm.
that I'm doing. Like there's so many cool
Yeah.
tools that are just going to become part of the fabric of how we digitally
Yeah.
interact, I think.
Mhm.
And that's why I was saying like marketing is changing because if
Yeah.
everybody can use the digital tools on like
Mhm.
was it one of them was it Facebook or LinkedIn? Like one of them was like
Mhm.
help writing your posts. Like you can
Yeah,
use it.
I've seen that before. It's
Well, but if all the posts start being written by AI and they
yeah.
all start sounding good, we're gonna have to find different ways to stand out if we all
Yeah.
sounding
No.
really good. And so that's gonna change how we.
Mhm.
Um, and I do believe the brain is always looking for evidence of humanity, and so
Mhm.
we're gonna get really good at spotting like pure AI versus
Yeah.
AI with or a human with AI
Mixed
amplification.
in kind of, yeah.
Just like I think it's funny in movies, CGI when it first came on the scene. I remember
Mm.
when Beauty and the Beast used CGI to do the
Mm.
chandelier shot,
Yeah.
the movie, and everyone was just like, "Oh, it's amazing and so cool." Now we look at it,
Yeah.
such a simplistic shot, right?
Yeah.
But nowadays, I'm more impressed by a real person in a real car that's really on fire.
Mhm.
Like that
Yeah.
to me is impressive.
I know
Uh,
after, yeah, seeing the other.
yeah. So we're gonna keep having things shift and change about what impresses us and what we want to be doing.
Yeah, no, I think that makes sense. Like you said, you can go back and kind of look and see things and be like how it's changed. And I think that with AI, especially like it's the landscape of it is changing so quickly. It's like hard to keep up with the different tools sometimes. But I think, like you said, it's helpful if you know what works for you and like for your purposes, and then you can still listen for, other tools or new tools, but it's helpful to have kind of like a list of what works for you kind of mentally in your head. So yeah, that's really awesome. And are there any like, I guess, common misconceptions you feel like people in general, whether that's authors or entrepreneurs or a bit of both, have about um, marketing as a whole, like whether that's with AI or just with more marketing in general? I know you touched a little bit about like, and that's something that I think I hear more working with authors about, like not wanting to feel like overly salesy, I guess, and like, or that they have to be kind of pushy or salesy to market their book or their business.
Yeah, when it comes to discomfort with marketing, a lot of times
Mhm.
that stereotype of a 1970s used car salesman that's going to give you a lemon,
Yeah,
that still persists very much. And
yeah.
marketing is about connection. It's
Mhm.
about getting, like, okay, I believe there is a good side to marketing and there's a
Yeah.
bad side to marketing. Unfortunately, the bad side of marketing has created some of the great tragedies, I think, in our world.
Yeah.
Like there have been really good marketing campaigns that did
Mhm.
bad things,
Mhm.
like convince people of things that weren't true, or
Yeah.
like you go back to like one example I use is in America, especially, man, we love marketing so much. There was a lot of marketing campaigns against midwives in the early 1900s
Mhm. Yeah.
to try because they were trying to market hospitals. And so
Mhm.
they started depicting midwives as being dirty and gross and like they're going to
Mhm.
kill your child basically.
Yeah.
So that's an example of like it was a very
Yeah.
effective marketing strategy because America
Yeah.
moved so far in that like we became an all hospital country compared to a lot
Mhm.
of nations that did not do that.
Yeah.
That's an example of like bad marketing, right? Is where
Yeah.
it connects and scares people to such an extent that we completely shift what we think something is.
Mhm.
Marketing, though, is about connection and
Mhm.
about connecting people with what they need. Um,
Mhm.
and so when you are service oriented or as a heart centered entrepreneur or somebody that has
Mhm.
something that will truly make people's lives better, like there's a reason you're doing what you're doing. And if you can just harness that passion and that energy, that will connect you to others and it
Mhm.
will make their lives better. And so you not telling them about it is hurting them, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
So being the best kept secret is making it so somebody else can't get what they need. And so
Mhm.
really changing your perspective to be like, I'm here to help someone, and that's
Yeah.
why I'm
Yeah.
willing to be interviewed, or that's why I'm
Yeah.
willing
No.
to go on social media and talk about it.
Mhm.
And changing around from feeling like, so the language we use around marketing oftentimes also intimidates people. So
Mhm.
content creation,
Mhm.
when you say that to me, it's like I'm just making things. Like you're in
Yeah.
a factory and you're just like pumping things up, like
Yeah.
filling a bin full of stuff, as
Yeah.
opposed to I'm creating a resource library so that people can go through these videos and
Mhm.
find what is actually helpful to them in this moment. Uh,
Mhm.
so if you're a person who's not afraid to show your face on
Yeah.
a video,
Yeah.
instead of it being content that
Mhm.
feels hollow,
Mhm.
about what do my clients need? What does my
Yeah.
audience actually need? How can I help them?
Mhm.
And then harnessing that power and being like, okay, I'm going to make this video because it's going to help Jane. I'm going to make
Mhm.
this video because it's going to make Raul have
Yeah.
great success. Like just
Mhm.
having this ability to really help somebody else. Like that's the biggest misconception I think in marketing is people feel like
Yeah.
I need to do stuff. I need to
Mhm.
do empty activities because that's
Yeah.
what the system demands. Like it's jumping through hoops, as
Mhm.
opposed to these hoops were devised because originally they actually helped people
Yeah.
until we started flooding the market with white noise.
Mhm.
And just, I mean, you've got content factories out there now
Yeah.
that just for
Just churn out. Yeah.
yeah. But if you're really trying to help people, that makes a big difference. This is kind of a not silly example, but it's an interesting one, I guess, to me. I don't know if you've ever heard of Miss Rachel, but I have a 2.5-year-old, and
Mhm.
she fell in love with Miss Rachel.
Oh.
And she was a YouTube content
Mhm.
creator, if you would, that really got going during the pandemic, is when
Mhm.
people really started following her stuff. And if you look at a lot of her videos that have millions of views, some of them
Mhm.
are very low quality as far as like camera angles,
Yeah.
camera quality. You can see her earliest videos. You can tell she's using an iPad and she's looking
Yeah.
at the screen instead of at the camera, so it makes it look like she's looking off to the
Yeah.
side. And like all these little mistakes that like you don't, like real content creators
I
who
know. Yeah.
do that. But she's built a huge empire because the content she was creating, she was making it because she wanted to help children
Mhm.
who had problems similar to her son, had like a speech
Mhm.
a problem with speech. And she
Mhm.
wanted to use tools that like she had learned to help her
Yeah.
son help other children.
Yeah.
And she's so genuine in her
Mhm.
content and all that that it comes across in the videos,
Yeah.
even the early days,
Mhm.
just like a charming Mr. Rogers type
Yeah.
person.
That's awesome. I loved
And
it.
hopefully this clip ages well. I mean, you never know what
Yeah.
the but I take that as an example of like when you
Yeah.
do things that are coming from a place of I want to help and I want to do this.
Mhm.
You know that time and money are precious resources.
Mhm.
That's discussed a lot, but
Yeah.
energy is also a precious resource. And if you don't do things that feed your energy, you
Mhm.
either burn out, fade out, or rage quit. And I've seen far too many
Yeah.
entrepreneurs rage
Yeah.
quit. It's like that's it, I'm done because
Yeah.
I used all my energy trying to do these activities that don't bring me happiness or fulfillment,
Yeah.
or other people and I feel like I'm not doing what I need to.
Mhm.
And so it's that shift of viewing marketing as like, what can I do that is energy rich, that helps give
Yeah.
me energy because I'm helping other people
Mhm.
and will expose me to the most amount of people as possible.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
and again, it can be in person, it can be
Yeah.
video, it can be through writing. If you're a great
Mhm.
writer, I know some that like they write beautiful social media posts and then people are interested in it. There was
Mhm.
a number of years ago, there was a social media account called Humans of New York, and I would read them
Yeah. I
all
remember,
the
yeah.
time because the stories were fascinating.
Yeah, no.
And a human thought that up. Like, who would think just interview random strangers on the streets
Yeah.
of New York and that'll be a really popular column? That's not
Mhm. Yeah, no, I
have to
remember.
innovate. We have to decide what new thing is going to be cool.
Yeah.
But there are still ways to innovate and do.
Mhm.
So when you reflect who you really are in your marketing,
Mhm.
that makes it so much more powerful because the key to
Yeah.
powerful marketing is you.
Yeah.
You being unique, you being who you really are. I worked with a lot of multi-passionate entrepreneurs
Mhm.
because like if you are an author and a speaker and a
Mhm.
consultant who also does coaching, you can sometimes feel fractured, like you have all these little
Yeah.
pieces of you that don't make
Yeah.
sense or that don't work together.
Mhm.
I always try to help people reframe it that you're a gem with facets.
Mhm.
Shine a light on the heart of it, like why do you do all these things, what is really at the
Yeah.
heart, then you can really shine brilliantly. So
Mhm.
I
Yeah,
guess
I
that's kind
really
of my core philosophy when it comes to
yeah.
marketing. We're just
Yeah.
trying to shine a light on the core element of you so
I love
that
it.
you shine brilliantly.
Yeah, and is that kind of as far as, like, do you have a favorite part of marketing, like, personally that you enjoy or, like, moments that you really, like, make you feel like this is, like, why I'm doing this or, like, this is like yeah.
What that last piece I just said, that like
Yeah, that's why. Yeah.
helping people that feel fractured
Yeah. No.
reframe and suddenly understand that, oh wait, all these different pieces of me that I think don't go together, they actually do.
Mhm.
I make
Yeah.
sense as a person.
Yeah, no. No.
Seeing that realization and having them understand that, like, oh, all these things that I've cared about, they
Mhm.
actually work together,
Yeah.
make a cohesive marketing statement, and can appeal
Yeah.
to other people. Um, you know, helping people know that, like, what they have, people want and
Yeah.
need.
Yeah.
That's what lights me up. It's the
Yeah.
conversations I have and the interactions I have with people. Even if
Mhm.
I wasn't doing marketing, I'm sure I would be working
Yeah.
with people.
Yeah, no, I think that's really great though, and that's definitely like a talent to be able to like bring that out of people and to like help them feel like you said everything can have a connection that they can connect with people. So I think that's really awesome that you're able to do that. But
Thank you.
yeah. So if people want to like find you online or like connect with you, where's the best place for them to do that?
Well, you can find me at Magic Mirror Marketing on Instagram and Facebook.
Mm.
And then on LinkedIn, I'm Emilie Ann Davis, but I spell my name really weird. It's EMILIEANNEDAVIS. So Emilie Ann Davis on LinkedIn. And yeah, that's usually the easiest ways to get to know
Okay,
me.
yeah.
Magicmirrormarketing.com is where you can see all the things that my company does. And then for speaking, EmilieDavis.com is where you can see what I like to speak about. Right now, I'm talking about turbocharging marketing with AI.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
any way that I can help people reflect their magic
Mm.
so they can make their mark on the world, that's what lights me up.